to track 11, 49 seconds. We'll be right back. And we're back again. All right. So, the wrap-up question. After hearing this album, is the perception more positive, more negative, or about the same?
For a perception of who?
So, wherever you was in the beginning, coming into this experience of listening to Jesus is King by Kanye West, is it more positive, more negative, or about the same? So essentially, did listening to it and having a conversation, did it move the needle at all? Based upon wherever you were coming in. So if you were, as kind of our live studio audience member kind of projected where he was versus I'm checking for Kanye because I feel like depending upon where you were in your personal kind of thoughts about him and this type of music.
I feel more positive about Kanye. The reason why is I was a fan of Kanye when he first came out, and wanted to. And I was also young, so I was 8th, 7th, 8th grade, so super impressionable, and really like Kanye. And then when he kind of went left with the 808s, I liked 808s, but then like. When he started almost knowing that, when he had the whole rumors of Illuminati and stuff on him. And then he almost started like embracing that as if that was cool. And then almost as if drunk off of all of this and the fact that I can do anything I want to do and I'm a rock star and I'm the biggest dude on the planet and stuff. He was like the most like prototypical bad dude, like dude that fell from grace type of figure for me, and even J. Cole did the whole song
False Idols.
Yeah, going at him, and I used to feel convicted liking Kanye for a little bit. So from there, even when he would do like even like Life of Pablo, that was his last album, and apparently his walk was during that, but even then he's still talking about the motto and bleached. And all that stuff. So talking like that, I don't believe you that you've I don't
my favorite, to be honest. I think it's just so clever. I kind of miss it. That's actually what I miss from this whole thing, which is what's awful with me.
And then it almost made me like side eye any of his thing that he talked about. I'm a Christian, because he was talking Christian even back then when he made that project, and I just didn't believe it because I didn't see it. The fruit thing that we talk about. So I think now with this one, it makes sense. The no cussing was a great first step. And it also, too, I never believed Kanye in either when he was talking about effing models and that because you're married and you like 40-something. You know what I mean? So you in the club is not, I don't believe that either. You know what I mean? And I feel like this fits how old he is and where he's at in life. And it seems very genuine to me.
Okay. So. Other thoughts? Did it move the needle?
I feel a little attacked though because I was talking about age.
Oh, sorry.
I was like, oh Lord. But joking. But seriously, I'm kind of in the same space. And for me, like I loved College Dropout. And kind of after that, I sort of checked out on Kanye. Like, he'd pop up here and I'm like, oh, that's a Kanye song. But I wasn't, like, rushed. Like, I'm pretty sure that College Dropout is the only actual, like, Kanye that I bought. And after that, there would maybe a single or something. I'm like, oh, it's okay. But I've never just been like, oh, my God, Kanye's on. I got to be here. So some of these even references to the songs, I'm like, I don't even remember that. Because I just haven't really checked for Kanye. And then the complicated factor of this being a gospel album, I don't really listen to hip hop gospel. With the exception of like Lecrae, that's about it.
And that one time they had one album that was
or if there's a feature on like Snoop did the thing with the whatever, he did that. Like, so if there's like a feature of like a hip hop artist on a gospel song, then that's, but beyond that, it is not really. So I really was not like, I got to rush and get this because so I'm kind of in the same place though, because ever before this, I was in the place of when I started with seeing the Sunday service. I was like, well, these songs feel good because these are the songs we sang in the elementary school gospel choir, but like, where are we going with this? I'm nervous because I don't want folks to be out here in the desert with Kanye and they missing Jesus. And I'm still in that place. I don't want people to be so caught up in Kanye that they miss Jesus. So if this is the moment for them to get the message, I want them to get the message. But I was there with that before I heard the album, before I heard the album was coming out. So that's kind of where I'm still sitting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, whatever with him. Like, it's just, I'm not going to remember this album. Like,
No.
I got to be honest. I also will say that I am not religious. I don't go to church. I grew up I was Catholic, so we had, like, not good music in church. Like, I don't listen to gospel in my free time, so I'm not going to listen to this again. I won't. I like old Kanye. But I can't stand Kanye. But that was my struggle with him.
Kanye is your Chick-fil-A?
It's so hard. Chick-fil-A? Yeah. And it's, I struggle with a lot of, with it. Like, God, I can't stand him. But damn, he is a genius. And I love his music when I listen to it. Some of his lyrics, I'm like, damn, how did he even come up with that? But with this, I was like, it's music. It's all right. Like, I get you're supposed to be, this is him being cathartic and, editing it all out and great for you. But as a music listener who I don't really care about your journey, I just want good music, I'm not on board.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think initially I was skeptical, as I mentioned before. But then as I listened to it, I just looked at the big picture of it. That from a Christian perspective, this is the #1 album in the country.
It is.
And the title of it is Jesus is King.
And when was the last time a gospel album was the #1 album in the country?
Right. And we asked the question earlier, would this be mainstream if it wasn't for Kanye?
No.
If this was Lecrae, would
Absolutely not.
Andy Mineo would
Fred Hammond, the legend.
Right.
This would not be mainstream.
Right. Snoop won a stellar with his collaboration.
He did.
So I think, if I'm putting on my preacher hat, I think from a perspective of Christianity, we can't always be looking at God doing something in a way that we're comfortable in doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He even said, I'm doing a new thing where you not know it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And some people are so being, judgmental and Pharisee that they're missing the whole boat. So that's where I was when I first listened. I was skeptical, but then I was like, you know what? Let me look at the big picture of this whole thing.
And that was the word I wanted to use too, was the big picture. Because would we view the album differently if we removed the label of Kanye on it and just looked at it as God using this thing that could get his name #1 on the billboards? And
perfect straightaway. So me, that's what makes this a breaking bread conversation. So kind of the lasting thoughts as we kind of go around with our last thoughts. So it's, how many of our personal relationships suffer because we let our personal feelings about someone get in the way of the message that we could potentially be getting from them? Mm-hmm. So for me, as we think about breaking bread, intentional conversations, authentic listening with the goal of seeking understanding, it may not move the needle, and that's okay, right? Mm-hmm. But how do we remove the biases that we have to at least allow ourselves to be open to the potential that there might be something there? But into what you guys said earlier, hold them accountable, and let's see what the actions showcase. But we can't, in my opinion, we can't allow our biases to blind us to even being open to receiving that there could be something to receive from there. So any comments?
Which is why I listened to it twice.
The 3 times now.
It's like, oh, it's a Kanye. All right.
So any last comments from people watching? I know a couple people have to dip out, and then we're going to go around and kind of final thoughts around the table.
Not yet.
Okay, cool. So whoever wants to go first, final thoughts.
Yeah. But I think if we took the name Kanye off, no one would be talking about this album. Which is great, for people that do believe in Jesus, it's great. Not great for the people that don't believe in Jesus. Maybe it causes more strife sometimes. Yeah. And especially in this country, in this climate right now.
Yeah. That's fair.
As what I just want to say that, yes, the message is great, but sometimes it does matter who the message is coming from.
Yeah.
I don't need someone who's been convicted of rape telling me how to treat women. So sometimes you can say something to me, but if I know who you are and what you've done, Ted Bundy and me aren't going to go out and talk about how to go on dates. That's just, I don't care if he's right. It's just, there's a bias. I don't think it's a bias when it's based on facts of what that person has done. Now, I hope he changes, and I do have a bias against him. I do. So I don't know.
Final thoughts.
No questions. Final thoughts.
Okay. Okay, pass. Let me come.
Okay. Seth?
I hate the fact I keep going to the Bible, but that's why.
I mean, that's kind of what you do.
There's a story in the Bible. There's a gentleman by the name of Paul. There's a gentleman by the name of Barnabas, and there's a gentleman by the name of John Mark. Initially, they were a team. For some reason, they had beef. John Mark dipped out. They were working together. He disappeared. Nobody know where he went. Barnabas and Paul, they split up. They never really worked together again. At some point later, Paul is about to be executed. He's writing a letter to Timothy. And he's like, look, I'm all alone. I only have Luke with me. I want you to come. And I also want you to bring John Mark because he's useful. I think the lesson in that is, regardless of what somebody has done in the past, there is some redeeming quality. There's some usefulness about that person. And that goes to the bias that we have. Somehow, you have to look at the humanity of the person, look at the fact that they were created with purpose, created with some kind of uniqueness, created with some kind of gift, and find a way to just respect the humanity of that person and see that they're useful for some kind of purpose.
Man, trying to unpack everything so I can say it in one thing. All right, so I think that regardless of Kanye's or anybody's personal intentions of doing stuff, I think if God uses you, even if it's just for a moment, I think that you are. I'll say this. So God used even like perceived defeat in order for salvation, right? Because anybody who gets hung on a cross and gets killed like that looks like we lost, right? But that actually was the thing that they win. So with Kanye being who he is, regardless of who, even Saul, right? Wasn't Saul, didn't he kill Christians at one point? And then God used him to actually be like one of the main people we learn about in the Bible and in the New Testament. So I kind of feel like, we don't ever really understand fully what God is doing. But I think that I read on YouTube that a kid was like, I never read the Bible before, just listen to Kanye. I'm a Kanye super fan, read the Bible now. So I think at that point you leave the door open for God to now come in and hopefully touch that kid's life, whether they read the Bible because they wanted to learn more about Jesus or because Kanye said the Bible was cool. It still leaves the door open and gets them one step closer to God. That's my final.
Jocelyn?
So I really hope, because I know I can't pick and choose and say if Kanye is really saved or not. I really hope, and what I understand about God is that God will get glory regardless. So whether Kanye's motives are good or bad or whatever that means, God's going to get glory because of this exposure. I still maintain, though, that we have to carefully handle the gospel. So if we're proclaiming, we have to do it right. And again, it was all right. So I probably won't be listening to it anymore. But for those people that hear it and they come seeking, that they find what they are looking for and that they are able to get saved and have their relationship with God and grow from this experience. Because it's not up to us, the results, but when the seed is planted, this is what happens. And if Kanye is the planter this week, then so be it. That's what it is.
Any comments?
Yes.
Okay.
So TJ says the album made me think the best thing for him was having his kids and family. It was necessary to get this album and seems like a more concise album than the Ye album, at least for me. Seems like a genuinely good gospel album and done well, even though I'm personally agnostic. Hurt with the Trump stuff still does, and that the new commander-in-chief line I mentioned earlier, he says like commander-in-chief still confuses me. Hopeful for him to move forward, and hope he does cause I look up to him as an artist, producer, etc. He made me want to make music and gave a sense of confidence in myself. Shout out to his pastor for ghostwriting.
That's hysterical.
So the last question I kind of put on the poll was, can you separate the art from the artist? So I just kind of leave it at that. And I thank you all for your time. We've been rocking for a while. So see you back in 2 weeks. Peace.